Live from Sacramento City Hall, it's the SacVibes podcast.
Hello, it is March 19th, 2025. I'm Danielle from the CE team, and you're chilling with SacVibes, the local government podcast where we educate, engage, and empower residents from the city of Sacramento. I'm gonna pass it to my left over here.
Hi, my name is Ari. I'm also a member of this community engagement team.
Hi, I'm Jessica, part of the team as well.
And I'm Greg. Hello, everybody.
And we are back for another week, another episode. And I'm gonna be real, my energy's a bit off today.
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah.
I agree. Everybody else, how y'all doing?
It's a little dim.
It's cloudy outside. It doesn't help, does it?
Right, that it dampens the mood for sure.
It was like warm last week, and
Yeah,
now it's back to cold.
and rainy. There was hail.
Even
a
this
couple
morning,
days
Yeah.
ago.
it was like sunny, and now all of a sudden it's like gloomy.
Yeah.
It was really cold this morning.
Yeah.
For those of you listening, we're talking really somberly because we had a lunch and learn today about the budget.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to share a little bit about that call?
Yeah, so I think the Lunch and Learn is a time for city staff to meet with our interim city manager. And it is the time for us to have direct conversation with the interim city manager, as well as asking her questions regarding the current state of the city with relation to the budget.
Right.
And yeah, it's a clear-cut, black and white conversation of honesty of
Yeah.
what needs to happen with the city.
Which we can appreciate in terms of budgets, right? Just tell us straight up.
Yep.
And which probably to no one's surprise since, it's been around the news, maybe if you read SacB or even if you're on social media, it's public knowledge that the city has a pretty sizable deficit this year around, like we did last year, but perhaps the main difference is that there are some hard cuts that are going to have to be made. And so if you haven't already, please make it out to council every Tuesday. Folks have an opportunity to really be vocal about what programs you want to continue to be funded, where you believe the money should go. And I'm gonna be real, I see a lot of y'all on Instagram saying where you think the money should go. So y'all should come to council with those thoughts and tell
Right.
them directly.
Put it on the record.
And we
Put it
have
on the record.
a special request at the end of our show about and when to do it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
But I don't want to spoil, the topic for today. And so, before we get into the real meat of it, can we do a quick council recap?
Yes. So to the viewers, I know Lynette usually does our council review, but I'm going to do my best to do a council review for y'all today. So for March 11th and March 18th, which was yesterday, the main items on the council agenda are presentations from current city departments surrounding the budget. As we just talked about briefly, the city is facing a $42 million deficit, and departments were asked to do a 15% cut across the board. And so now yesterday's presentations were from Sac Fire, Sac Police, our Department of Community Response, which is dedicated to our unhoused population. And they did their presentations about the significance of their department, the successes their departments have had, as well as what their department needs and why we should maintain their budget or keep their budgets the same. That gives us a great segue because we do want to talk about the budget process.
That would be me.
Yes.
That would be me.
You're up.
Thank you, Ari. I'm not good at talking and using the mouse at the same time, so bear with me.
No worries.
So each year, as Ari just mentioned, the city goes through a budget process, right? Departments will submit their budgets to their superiors, usually an assistant city manager. In times of budget deficits, sometimes city department heads are asked to present to city council their work, and then maybe if there was a request for reductions, show how that their budget will reflect those requests to have deductions. And I think it was 15% this year.
Yeah.
Again, last year we also had to take off another 15%. And what our leadership did last year was to offer up positions that were waiting to be filled, a few positions on the team that didn't have any staff on it. This year we're doing similar work. We're cutting again. And so even we lost one team member that was Muda's former position. So we're not refilling that position. So that's kind of what we do, especially, in terms, it's not always deduction, but, if there's opportunities for surplus, then we could say, okay, well, we need to do these programs that we've been holding off on, right? So I will pass it to the rest of the team to talk about the budget cycle and then how that fits into what we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah, so as we were trying to explain to you guys about the budget process with the city, I kind of want to ask my colleagues, what do you guys know about the budget cycle? Like, how do you think it operates? When do you think it begins? And what are the crucial times that our viewers should be tuning in and making their voices heard?
I know it starts in July 1.
Okay.
And that is not the time to go to council. It is before the budget is adopted.
That is correct.
That's right.
Because July 1st is when the fiscal year begins. And so at that point, budget's said and done,
So that's
Right.
That's good. I think that's okay. So to kind of culminate what you guys said, if the viewers don't know, the City of Sacramento operates we don't work from a January to February calendar year. We operate on a fiscal year, which operates from July 1st to June 30th. So each July 1st, it's a new fiscal year, and it goes all the way until June 30th. And before June 30th, we have to have a new budget, a balanced budget. The law prevents us from operating in a deficit, so we are not like the federal government in the sense that we can keep moving and spending without having a balanced budget. We have to have a balanced budget.
And for those of you listening, I'm going to include a few attachments. One of them will be the budget cycle graphic that we are showing on the YouTube version right now. So everybody can see this except for our listeners. So if you're listening along, you might want to take out the budget cycle that Ari was talking. Back to you, Ari. Sorry.
No, that's great. So yes, there is a kind of graphic here that kind of explains the budget cycle here. And we are currently in the March-April portion where we haven't necessarily gotten to the proposed budget. A proposed budget will be at council on April 29th, which is a Tuesday at 5 p.m. That is when our interim city manager, as well as the finance director, Pete Colleto, will present a proposed budget for council to adopt or edit, change, scrap, and say start over until we get it right. With that being said, there is an important meeting on March 25th, which is also a Tuesday, and it's a council meeting. That is the time to allow your voices to be heard. You can express your concerns or support in favor of programs, projects, departments, to say, hey, keep this department's budget the same, or we think that funding should be allocated to this department, or cut this department's budget.
Right.
Put it on record. You could do an e-comment as well.
That's usually when departments are presenting, right? And people can speak on behalf of those departments, right?
That's a great point. So on March 25th, there will be several presentations that day. So
That's us.
that's correct. The Office of Innovation and Economic Development will be presenting.
Who else is? Do you know who else is presenting? I don't know.
Yipsy.
Oh, Yipsy.
Yipsy will probably.
Youth Parks, Community Enrichment.
Good job. Right on. Pie in the face for me. Also, Arts and Convention and Cultural Services, probably. CDD, which is Community Development Department.
That's including planning.
That's correct.
Oh, that's a big day.
That is a big day. That is going to be a big council meeting, a long council meeting.
And if you can't make those times, especially in March, there's a whole public forum thing of this budget. I'm looking at the cycle right here. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, so on April 29th, when our interim city manager, Lainey, and finance director, Pete, will present a proposed budget, that is a time where there will be a public forum or hearings, per se, for the public as well as staff and departments and council members to comment on what they're in favor of in that proposed budget and then what they don't support in the proposed budget. So it's a time to come have a transparent discussion about how the finance director as well as the interim city manager propose to balance the budget.
And that's after the draft budget has been finalized already, right? When you did a public forum.
So
I'm just trying to remember what you explained to me yesterday.
that's a good clarification question. So it's not finalized yet, but so they have to finalize it by June 30th.
Yeah, that's the final. But
That's the final.
first draft is done in
April 29th.
April 29th. And
Yes.
then May, June is when folks can make comment
Yep.
some more
Yep.
on top of when specific departments can go. Okay,
Yeah.
so there's 2 times when people can say something.
Yep. And I think it'll be a series of council meetings. I wish I had the council meetings calendar to show all the dates, but essentially I'm assuming every Tuesday of the month of May will be the public forum.
Right. I can probably find that, and I'll include that as a link on our description here.
Yep.
And it might not seem like it, but they do read the comments that you can leave on agenda items.
Yes, so the e-comment.
Yes, there is e-commenting if folks are unable to make it to the in-person council meeting. So if y'all go to the website where it houses the live streams, and if you click on the meeting that you'd want to tune into, you'll see the agenda, and on the agenda, it'll take you to a place where you can comment on different items. And so feel free to leave your thoughts there. You can go as in-depth if you want to, because at council, you do have a time limit on your keyboard. You don't.
There's no character limit.
Ooh, that's a good
Maybe
question.
there is, but I've seen some
5,000
super
characters?
long super long responses.
Wow. Okay.
So, yeah,
Also
that's an
want to
option.
add that so during the public forum or the public hearings, staff is also working to close out the fiscal year because, again, remember by June 30th, that's the end of the fiscal year, and we're starting a new one on July 1. So at the same time that we're trying to finalize a budget, we are also closing out the fiscal year. So that's contracts, that's
Yep.
employee labor negotiations, all the things.
All the fun things.
Yeah, so it's a pretty steep and tedious and grim process. We are in the second year of the deficit, and so it's getting more serious. And if we don't make the big changes up front, we'll have a couple more years of the deficit until we get it right.
And sorry, continue.
I was just going to ask public comment. How do you do that? And are there any tips and tricks anyone would like to share?
There are tips and tricks because you made a video about it. I did.
Yes,
It wasn't real. It was good.
that was
I
a
liked
good.
it.
That was a good reel.
If y'all haven't
Very
already,
informative.
y'all should check out Jessica's life hacks. You can find them on our Instagram.
You haven't done one in a while.
I haven't, but a really good life hack that I just remembered is, and maybe I should confirm, but it's validating your parking when going to council.
That's right.
So essentially, when you go to council, whether you want to watch the meeting, attend, or do a public comment, you can take your parking validation, or you can get a parking validation from the staff, the city clerk staff that sits usually at the front left of the council chamber.
Yep.
So
The same, basically
Where
the
you get the
same
comment
location where you
person.
get the comment form.
Right.
Yep.
So just so you know, you don't have to pay for parking. And
I didn't know that.
This would be if you park at the City Hall garage, which is located on I and 10th. There's 2 entrances, I and 10th and I and 11, I believe.
Probably 11, yeah.
Yeah.
So
How much is parking nowadays?
evening rates I think went up to $7. There used to be $5, but it's up to $7. Unless there's an event, then it might be $10 or more.
That used to be a meal. Not it's not even a meal anymore. It's
Yeah.
like a sandwich.
And also, like, make sure you do get your parking validation because parking fees are going up. And so a parking ticket is now $72.50.
Tell me how I
just
know.
got one.
Ask me how I know.
I know.
Right.
Me too. I got one over the last weekend.
Parking if you're listening.
Good job.
My Iron Man, please.
$72. That's like a dinner for like 4 people.
That's like 2 all-you-can-eat sushi dinners.
It's like a gas tank on a truck.
That is, yeah, that's a
That's
guess.
very true.
Okay. We're all getting, everybody's sad now.
Okay.
Inflation.
Let's switch it up.
Okay, so,
I do have an activity for y'all.
okay.
If y'all want to play.
Yeah. I wanted to just let everybody know that we're going to show you, give you a little taste of what this process looks like, making decisions, hard decisions. So Ari will lead us through that activity right now.
Okay, so we have a budget exercise, and I do want to give a shout out to our finance director, Pete Colleto, because he is primarily the person who formed this activity. He introduces it and plays it at our City Management Academy, and it gives our participants and time and the chance to understand just how difficult and how hard it is for Pete and his staff to go through this budget cycle. So, after reviewing some revenues, the budget manager, me, has come to you guys to give good news. We have a budget of $9 million. So, we have...
Sounds like a lot. 9 million ain't go that far no more.
At all, right? So, we have $2 million in ongoing funds and $7 million in one-time revenues. However, the increase in interest rates and increased recession warnings from the economists have me a little bit concerned. So I need y'all help. After briefing the city manager, they've asked for recommendations for how to allocate this $9 million. Please keep in mind that we have some priorities that come from the mayor, from the city council, and the city manager. So the mayor would like for you guys to prioritize economic development and public safety in the downtown area.
It's so tiny. Hold on. I just put it on the screen for you guys watching. For those of you listening, look for the attachment called budget exercise, and then you can play along with us.
Okay, so the mayor's priorities are economic development and public safety in the downtown area. He also would like you guys to prioritize after-school programs for kids. And then, as you guys all know, Sacramento is a little bit in the floodplain. And so consider disaster planning.
Consider.
City Council would like you to prioritize public safety, park improvements, also after-school programs for kids, street improvements, and disaster planning. And then finally, the city manager would like for you guys to satisfy the mayor and the council, increase reserve funds, address deferred maintenance needs for our roads, for...
Before you go into that, talk a little bit about reserve funds and what that is. Would you mind?
Yeah, so reserve funds are, you guys know how they say, put something up for a rainy day? Mm-hmm. That's what that is for the city. So the city has a reserve fund where we would like to increase it
Like a
and
savings.
it's a savings for the city in case we have hard times.
And I thought there was a law. It has to be a certain amount. I could be wrong though. I don't know what that is.
I'll have to look into that.
I need to look
because
into
I
that
don't know.
too. Yeah. Okay.
But yes,
And that would yell at me for that question though.
the reserve fund is something for a rainy day for a city to function.
Right.
If you don't need to touch it, you shouldn't touch it. Don't touch it because dire times come, right? But sometimes the times are dire. So you need to go in there.
Right. Usually like emergency stuff.
Yep.
Storms.
a deficit.
Deficit.
Okay, so the city manager also would like us to increase reserve funds, address deferred maintenance needs, set up a disaster recovery fund, and then replace gas-powered city vehicles with hybrids and electric
Which will kind of save money for
in
down
the long
line.
term, right?
Yeah.
So now that you guys know the mayor's priorities, city council's priorities, and the city manager's priorities, please tell me how you would like to allocate your $9 million in balancing a budget. Some of the program and project expansions include street improvements, which is $50,000 per district. So if you do 8 times 50,000, that's 1,300,000, 1.3 million.
50 times 8.
Ooh,
No.
that's me doing bad math.
5 times 8 is
This is why I
40,
got
right?
my calculator.
Yes, that's 4 million.
4 million.
I don't think
400
it's million.
400,000.
50,000. It's not 500.
As you know, Ray,
400,000.
So it's less
all
than
bad
a
at math.
million, right?
400,000.
There you go.
Thank you, calculator.
Thanks, calculator. So paramedic services, 1 ambulance and staffing annually at another 400,000.
Just one is 400,000.
That's right. That's why the ambulance bills be so high.
I'll just walk. I'm good.
Police dispatchers, 4 additional police dispatchers. That's another whopping 400,000. So are we keeping score? 3 times 400,000. Now that is 1.2 million.
Are you adding that up? I'm.
So there's some deferred
Can't do it
maintenance.
either.
There's some deferred maintenance on city buildings and facilities. So that's up to 7 million. You could opt to defer the maintenance another year.
They're gonna have to wait.
And then
We got kids to feed.
there's park improvements. So park improvements across the city, 1 million. A new police substation, 2 million. We could get a new fire truck for 2 million. Fire truck repairs, 15,000 each. Increase the reserve. So again,
Up to 5 million.
up to 5 million. We could allocate.
So we have 9 to start. 9 million to start with. Right?
That's right.
Let's see how. That's
And then the
crazy.
police department fleet, which is police officer cars that they patrol the neighborhoods with, right? Or the city with. That's 1.1 million. We do have some new projects in mind, if you guys are interested. So we have some after-school programs. Remember, the mayor and city council would like you guys to consider after-school programs for the children. So that's 200,000 a site. Alternative.
Wait, so that's
So what does that mean by site? Like school?
school?
Yes.
Or it could be community
many schools?
center,
Or
maybe.
community center. That's right.
There's hella schools, aren't there?
Yeah, which
It's
site are they
probably
referring
not
to?
schools because that's not
That's
ran
school
by
district.
The,
Yeah.
Districts?
Yeah.
How many school districts are in SAC?
One
Unless-
school district.
or it could also be grants that like a department administers and gives out.
No, y'all. So like,
This
if we're saying a district, a site would be a school. So how many schools are in a district?
There's hella schools in the district.
Exactly. Because
That's basically 2 FTEs, 200,000.
What's
Right?
an FTE?
full-time employee.
Sorry, FTE. I mean,
I almost got him, guys.
Alternative fuel vehicles. So our electric and hybrid. $160,000
that's actually a bargain considering how many cars that is.
to replace the non-safety vehicle. Okay.
Non-safety vehicle. So that's like the utilities tracks and stuff?
Oh, they might have to wait. I don't know.
A new park. I don't know which district yet, but a new park, 1 million. A new fire truck, 200,000. The disaster plan is 50,000. Set aside for the disaster, up to 10 million.
That's it right there. 9 million. for that.
And then the waterfront development. You guys were trying to become a destination city. We want people to come here to increase our revenues and the tourist tax. We could develop the waterfront for 5 million.
I would put aside 9 million for disasters because me dealing with the budget would be a disaster. This is hard.
What would you do, Danielle? I'm just curious. What would you pick? I mean,
I think it's just more like my math would not add up.
there's
But-
like some of these things, even though they're an upfront cost, like for example, waterfront development. People
Yeah.
be like, nah, not right now.
Not right now.
But
Even though we
if
would
it's
want it
5
long-term.
million, you could get money to attract tourists to come here, so that
Yeah.
revenue comes in a different way. It pays off later.
That's right.
But if other folks are hurting too in an economy, people aren't going to go out and travel,
Yeah.
right? So have to keep that in mind as well,
Yep.
right?
Because we could
So-
develop the waterfront and then nobody
Ain't
gets
nobody
it
got
going
money
nowhere.
to go.
So they want an after school program,
That's right.
downtown like investments,
For like safety.
safety,
Public safety.
disaster planning,
Yep. That's right.
reserve funds,
Uh huh.
maintenance funding, like the deferred maintenance.
That's correct. So this deferred maintenance is like, switching to putting the electrical lines underground instead of on the poles type stuff.
Oh, okay. That might be useful, especially during fire season, right?
Correct.
So I would consider
Even
that.
even the storms for the rain.
All right, yeah.
When the tree fall down and knock down all the cords too.
Because I wonder how many lines are around here still exposed to the elements near trees and stuff.
Let's call Pravani. I love
So-
that you have your calculator out. This is great.
Oh yeah, no, my math would be all wrong if I didn't.
Jessica, do you have any suggestions for how we should balance our budget here?
Well, I was just thinking too about our meeting earlier and them mentioning that we need to have a balanced budget. We can't do a budget where we spend over the amount allocated,
That's
even
right.
though in some places you might, or maybe in the federal government.
That's right.
You can borrow against or something like that.
The
or-
federal government, like, if their budget is 3 trillion and then their expenditures are 4 trillion, they gonna operate and spend the 4 trillion.
So Lainey said that's not how we work.
That's
so
right.
That's why we need to balance it. And so I think just hearing this activity so far makes it like, I guess it clears up in my mind like why we need testimonials through public comment.
That's right.
Because,
Right.
I need to understand more what funding the police dispatcher would do, or hear more about like what after school program does, and maybe helps me determine how many I can fund, or not me, but in the case of the council members and the mayor
Right.
when they approve. So
That's a good point. That's a great point. Essentially, council and the mayor, they listen to the testimonials, whether it be public comment or you do an e-comment. And when they're on the diocese making a decision about what to cut, what to keep, what to slash, and what to dash, and they're annotating the testimonials from the public.
Yeah. And so that, to me, also is another, not a warning, but more of like, a, hey, heads up. If y'all aren't coming down, if you're not active in either voting or going to learning about who your council member is,
Yep,
that's why things don't happen in specific districts, right?
that's right.
I had an exercise. It was actually a game that we made for our tabling. It was about, voter turnout
Yeah.
for the districts, right?
Yeah.
And so in the districts that we serve mostly underserved districts, right? For those that traditionally don't, get involved in city government, and it's mostly the low income neighborhoods, where people of color live. Y'all don't come out to vote. You got to come out to vote and get active, because the people that do come to these meetings and say their piece, so they get those resources, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's another thing for us to let y'all know about and say, yeah, you guys got to get out there, speak your mind, and make sure you get what your community needs.
I also want to point out that like neither my colleague Jessica or Danielle have picked a budget, and that's to speak to the difficulty and how hard it is. It's not easy
Listen.
to just say no, we're not going to fund
We're
this.
not leaving till this is balanced, people.
So I was gonna comment while you were talking. I was kind of like going through this, and this is hard.
Yeah.
like there's so much thought that has to be put into it, and like obviously you can't fund everyone. Like everyone has these cool new projects and hopes for the city, but it's like there's only so much money they have access to.
And everything is important. Like who doesn't want their streets
Exactly.
improved? Right?
I'm like, oh, let me add this. This sounds nice.
Who
This
doesn't
sounds
want
nice.
after school programs for their kids?
It would be nice to apply equity to this process as well, right?
yeah.
Because if that happened, then we'd be like, oh, so who had new park last year? Which districts had new parks? 7,
What district don't got no
4.
parks?
Yeah,
What district
and
doesn't have any
that kind of
parks?
made me think about like the like road maintenance too. Like I would say like some districts would like have more pressing needs for road maintenance than
Oh, yeah.
others.
Yeah.
So we can't just, for the sake of the budget, can't just do all of them in one fell sweep.
And you can't have everything evenly because certain districts have less resources than other historically, right?
Yes.
So we also have to take that into consideration.
And also,
another
who wouldn't
layer.
want to increase the reserve? Like, of course, we would love to save money to prepare
Right.
for a rainy day.
Right.
But is that something that we can afford to do? Like, as a normal person, there are times where we're like, oh, I want to take some of my paycheck and save it. And then bills say otherwise. And you're like, oh, well, I don't know if I'm doing that today.
Or it's the homie's birthday and you gotta buy
Right.
around.
That's right.
And there goes your savings.
That's it. There goes your saving allocation for the month or 2.
So then that could mean a compromise. Like, oh, let's just go to the store and get a bottle, save money instead of going out. Likewise, you apply that to this thinking, like
And it still means
an
that
alternative fuel vehicle, right? It might cost $160,000, but what does that mean in terms of savings on fuel?
Yep.
Like how much is it, like $5 a gallon right now?
we almost 6, because isn't it like,
Where you live, SF?
no, for real. I'm sorry to the Bay Area,
Yeah.
LA too. 'Cause, $5.
I think it was like 460,
460?
Okay, yeah, you're right. It was
Okay.
like, I think the last time I filled up, it was like 477.
It just hurts every time. Like, oh, just like leave my wallet at the gas station. Fine. Anyway, okay. So what did we come up with? Are we?
I think I'm at like 1.6 million right now.
How about we come up with which is it YouTube where people can comment? Why don't we let them
Let them decide.
let them decide?
We're gonna punt on this one. Let you guys do it.
And then we could maybe post our results. I mean, no,
Can I try?
Yeah, you try.
Okay. So, can someone write down for me?
It's not like you're gonna
Okay, go,
actually
go,
hurt
go, go.
people. So just.
I'm not.
Go, go, go.
I'm talking to Jessica.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I got 9 million to start. And let's start with doing street improvements for each district. So 9 million minus 400,000.
Where's that one at?
That first line.
400,000.
That
Okay.
first.
Because
Okay.
that's 50K times 8.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I'm gonna. Let's see.
I should play game show music right now.
I'm gonna say that, like, yes, we should do a $50,000 disaster plan.
Okay. It's only 50.
That's only 50,000.
Yeah.
Like, we could shelter that.
You've got 8.5 mil.
Okay.
I'm hanging in there.
You gotta think about the kids, after school programs.
Absolute. Well, okay, hold on.
One of the things I was thinking about, if you're taking input,
Yes, for sure.
maybe
I
the
need all the
city
help I
could
can
do
get.
like a pilot program for after school programs. So instead, like a starting group of like maybe 5 schools,
Okay,
because 5 schools would put you at 1 million.
let's do that.
Or you can apply that equitably and look at schools that haven't had
Districts that need it.
resources in a while.
Yeah,
and then maybe
exactly.
you fund the programs in those.
Yep. or that's where we do the pilot program at the
Yeah.
schools that need it the most?
Sure.
Okay, yes. So 5 schools that need it the most.
I like how you're changing the rules, but that's all right.
What do you mean?
This is supposed to be all sites, but that's okay. I mean, this is just a process.
But no, because we still meet the
It didn't say no minimum for a site.
the priority of it. We're creating an after school program.
No, I like how you just created the pilot project. We're gonna do a pilot.
Somebody, yeah, 'cause that's what the city do. We create the pilot program.
That's like the cannabis one, you know? You gotta
Exactly.
start somewhere before you make it widespread.
Even the small developer pilot program.
Yeah.
You know what kind of is interesting? So I come from the world of youth development, and when we, give money for young people for after school programs and such, it's like folks don't really understand the return on investment for that. It's something hard to really capture if you want to put numbers only to it, like transactionally. But the fact that these young people are coming out, they have things to do, they feel safe, they're going to school and they're going to these after school programs. It keeps them engaged in society, and that saves money, a lot of money in the long term. It's preventative, right? You don't want to wait till things get to a point where you have to start treating problems, and that costs way more money.
Absolutely.
So,
Instead of being proactive and you're reacting to it, absolutely.
right, on top of it being the right thing to do, it's also cost efficient on the long run.
That's right.
Unfortunately, we have to do this process every year, so you can't really. Well, you can count it everywhere. Hell, and why not?
Yeah.
This is a hypothetical anyway. Shoot.
So what I got? 7.5 left.
You do?
Okay,
What's
so
why in the schools?
I'm gonna put 2.5 in the reserve.
Okay.
Jessica's always giving me financial advice, so I want to hear what you have to say, too. The money master.
Okay, so what? I
2.5.
got street improvements, right?
You got after school
I
programs.
got after school programs.
You got a disaster plan
I got a disaster plan,
and reserve.
and I got the reserve.
5 million in the reserve.
You're only
2.5 million.
So you'll need like downtown public safety to
Okay.
meet the mayor stuff.
Oh, then maybe.
So, okay, so I have 800,000. So if I do the paramedic services and the police dispatchers, I could.
That's eight, right there. 800.
That's 800,000. Okay, so let's do those.
How much is paramedic?
Four
Paramedic?
400,000.
One
Yeah.
thing to note too is like if you add in like a paramedic, right? You're going to be adding them to your budget forever until you fire them, if that makes sense too. I
That's
think
true.
that's kind of the trouble that we're facing right
It's like
now.
yes, it's the
So,
long-term payment for the.
long-term. So if you use like some of your budget this year to hire people, that's going to be in your budget next year as well, right?
You're right.
So I'm
You're
like,
not wrong.
okay.
You're not wrong. You are not wrong.
But it will be safer in the long run.
Yeah,
too.
for sure. But
Right.
it's
Now, if you were making parks everywhere, then yeah,
like, yeah.
that's a good point to bring up.
So minus that 800,000. What I'm at? Because I think I kind of want to put
4.2.
Okay, so can we put that 0.2
That's
Away.
200.
250,000 away for the set aside disasters? Sure. It's not a lot,
I thought
but
you were gonna get a fire truck. I got 200 for a fire truck, and then the rest in singles. I can go to Reno.
You know, it catches my eye more like the smaller numbers. I'm like, yeah, why not? I wonder if that's a tactic.
Potentially.
okay. I don't.
It's not easy though.
Is
no
what we're
matter
saying,
how.
yeah. That's it. I think
And you can
that-
imagine people lining up. What? You're not going to do this? And then they're coming up to make public comments.
Soon as I say 4 police dispatchers, they're gonna be like, well, why you can't get no new substation?
Or like, who's going to come out
Right.
when the police
Right.
get dispatched? Ain't no officer.
Okay, I got 4 million left, so let's try to do the deferred.
You got to speak in the mic. I can't hear you.
Okay,
There you go.
The deferred, I have 4 million left, so let's do deferred maintenance on city buildings. I'm gonna say 2 million. which leaves me with the even 2 million left.
Okay.
How am I doing, y'all?
I think good.
I think it's fine. Yeah. Hypothetically speaking, it's great.
I know, right? If it could be this perfect,
Right. It can be this easy. This is not easy by any means, right? When we're playing with real people's taxpayer money.
You got enough for a substation or a station.
How much you got left?
2 mil.
I'm gonna say 1 million for the waterfront.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not a big risk to invest in, but it's enough to get it going in case we do increase some revenue.
Speaking
foot
of
traffic.
Waterfront. It was shared in the news that the Ferris wheel will be closing.
Yeah,
since
I
they're
saw
gonna be
that.
developing the
And the schoolhouse.
and the schoolhouse. But apparently, that schoolhouse was never supposed to be there. It was built for like
Yeah,
a
it's
fair.
like a facade,
Yeah. So
right?
a new children's play center.
Where are they gonna put are they just gonna take it apart? They should put it somewhere.
Maybe they'll move it.
I guess that's expensive too. I don't know. Anyway, how much we got left?
1 million.
1 million. You got 10 seconds. Make a decision.
Yeah. Cut out the damn that I just said. Oh, that 1 million for the park improvements.
Park improvement.
Okay, we're good.
Okay.
With a caveat to do the park improvements for disinvested in district
Oh,
first.
okay. So you're applying an equity lens.
Yes.
All right.
All right. That is the entire budget. Ding, ding, ding. And yeah, that didn't. That was hard.
Yeah. I was trying to add up the total amount of like all the options, and I couldn't even do that on my calculator. I messed up a zero, probably a couple zeros.
So
but-
before we thank you for you guys to do that exercise. Thank you, Ari, for facilitating that and balancing our hypothetical budget. Before we jump off, though, I wanted to let everybody know that another attachment that will be coming down will be our list of reduction strategies that the city has proposed. That will be another attachment to this podcast. So take a look at those. Make a note, because these are the things that people are cutting in real life here in real time.
Right. And it's
So-
real people.
Real
Real
people,
people.
real positions, real programs. So this is what we need you guys to come down for, to speak your mind and say, hey, this is what we want to keep. This is okay to let go. We only know that if you come and make comment. So turning it over to you.
Wow, as always, thank you for vibing with us. And don't forget to follow us on social media, YouTube, and Spotify. We'll see y'all next time.
Peace.
Bye.
Peace.